I'm going off mic.
Thanks, buddy. We'll wait till the stream kicks in.
Hey, what's the URL?
Twitch.tv/don't revive me, bro. Yeah, live.
Rebecca Black.
What's up, guys? How's it going, all? It's the relaunch of the DRMB podcast for like the second or third time. Today we're talking with DRMB member, the nicest guy in Battlefield, 1,500 miles to my left, Lano. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me on here, Chris.
Absolutely my pleasure. And the Battlefield CM, our best friend of the business, Mr. Dan Mitre. How's it going, Dan?
How you doing, gentlemen? Good to see you.
Excellent.
You are the real MVP.
It's an honor. Love, don't revive me, bro. I love what you guys stand for, and working with you guys has been a pleasure. So it's definitely an honor being on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, we've wanted to have you for a while, so I'm glad this worked out. On this auspicious occasion, the announcement of the beta date for Hardline, something that we've been looking forward for a while. 3rd to the 8th, correct, of February?
3rd to the 8th, yep, all platforms. So it's going to be epic, man. There's been a lot of questions around like preloading. So you can start actually preloading on the 2nd for PC Origin.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, the capability is not there for console. But, a lot of us are PC. Master Race.
That's right.
Before
so
the hate.
preload on the 2nd.
Good. That's good to hear. And we've got a full 5 days of playing it. Unlocked the new mode, thanks to all the people playing Rush, my favorite mode on Battlefield 4. So I'm pumped for that. So good. Well, I'm really happy to have you on. We've looked forward to doing something for Hardline for a while, and now that we're getting closer, we had a little bit of delay, which is kind of a good thing, thought of as a good thing in the community. So I'm glad we finally had time to bring you on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan? Like, what did you do before being a CM? What's your history with EA and the Battlefield series?
Yeah, well, let's go way back. Let's go 10 years back. We'll keep it brief, though. I have humble beginnings. I started in QA back at the Vendy days. Like, you remember the game Fear and Scarface?
Yes. Yeah.
And a couple like movie IP games like Aragon. I tested all that stuff. That's where I got my foot in. I just had to work myself through college. I was eating hot dogs and ramen, and it was a hell of a lot better than bagging groceries. So might as well play some games, have fun making some money. But I just went from there, and got into community management, did a couple online titles of my own, and been through companies like THQ, Sega, a couple toy companies, and then landed here at EA. And the opportunity to work on, number one, a AAA title.
Yeah.
One of the biggest brands in the industry, not only having, some of the coolest players to be working with and one of the biggest budgets to be tossed around, but a game I've been playing for the past decade, since 42. Like, I'm a longtime fan, and it made sense. Why not make money playing a game that I freaking love?
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's been incredible. It's been challenging, but extremely rewarding.
Good. We've asked a couple community managers this question, and maybe a little bit off topic, but what do you consider the challenge of being a CM and how it relates to a big series like Battlefield? Like, do you find going from a smaller, like if you're a CM for, I don't know, some random mobile game or something, I don't know if they have CMs, but, what do you find is kind of the major challenge in working with the community?
You want to be honest, actually, I find smaller communities harder to work with.
Okay.
Surprisingly, yeah. I've been on actually a mobile game and have done community for that. I've done community for toy products. I've done community for all sorts of stuff prior to the hardcore game industry. And I find it harder with smaller communities because it's harder to get a group of passionate individuals
right
surrounding and marching towards one objective.
Hmm.
Whereas Battlefield, you guys have made it extremely easy for me. There's passionate guys in all sectors of the community, guys that do incredible YouTube content, guys that do incredible fan art, guys that do live action stuff, dudes that just want to hop in forums and spread their knowledge of the game, whether it's crazy loadout recommendations all the way down to why a site works the way it does, and the field of view should be optimized for this and that. You guys just provide a wealth of resource and knowledge for me to pull from to promote on all the channels, as well as really gather incredible information, valuable information. Go back to the devs. So I don't have to pull teeth, and
Yeah.
I don't have to dig around for information. You guys provide it to me willingly. So, like I said, summarizing that, it's much harder to work with smaller communities because the resources and the passionate players aren't as easy to find.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to look at it. That is something Battlefield has never suffered from, a lack of passion.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
will leave it at that for better or
Yeah.
for worse.
yeah,
Yeah,
Battlefield's always
both
been a very
ways.
passionate community. So, what were kind of your expectations when you came into this position? Like, were you kind of blown away by the size of it, or you had a clear goal in mind?
No, I mean, my whole career has been run the whole gamut of community sizes, community expectations. And coming into it, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew that I was getting into a long-standing brand that has had a very influential community. That guys range from, racing titles all the way to Call of Duty, and all in between. So I knew what I was getting myself into, and especially opening that up to an international, more just working with all the different regions. You have U.S., which is, of course, is the leading region, but then you have all the countries in Europe and having to deal with localization and the language barrier there.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, we have community managers in all regions, and I work very synergistically with them. So we have Dan Sheridan in the UK. We have Vincent Vukovic up in the Nordic region. We have Great Quest in France, to name a few. And thank God we have those guys, because it's just too big of a beast to handle for one person.
Yeah.
So going into it, I knew it was going to be quite the challenge, but you got to keep your cool and apply, your career learnings to it, and just hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. That's one thing we've always kind of appreciated. I know as a Battlefield community is having the different CMs from the different areas help us, and even the devs have been really outgoing. As far as like patch notes and explaining everything, and like just reading through Thad's tweets tonight, he's going through specific things that you don't normally get in big games. So that's always been kind of a pleasure for us, and nice to get that kind of inside access.
Yeah. Thad's a really cool guy, and Lana could attest to this, but Thad's just hungry. He's hungry to make the best title that he can. This is his stamp on this long-standing franchise that is Battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not taking any shortcuts. And I'm not just saying that like to push marketing shit down everybody's throat. Like, seriously, if you were to meet the guy lives and breathes Hardline. And I'll let Lana speak a bit more to his experiences with the Game Changers program, where we bring in some of the top influencers, some of the biggest voices in the community, to really have a direct impact and actually have a hand at developing a game. Lana has single-handedly provided incredible feedback, which has impacted code. And guys like Thad and Steve and Ian Millen are extremely appreciative of that.
Yeah, well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about that. Like, so with the Game Changers program, do you want to kind of explain that from your end, and then Luno maybe can kind of describe on what you did down there?
Yeah. So back when, this is back last year, May of last year, um, we had a company direction of player first. And in order to become player first, we need to bring in players and get their feedback on the game and allow them to directly, have a direct impact on the way the game performs and the outcome of code. And so we brought in, like I said, back in May was the first event where we brought in 32 guys. And Lano, you were at that first one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was in San Francisco at the mothership at
The
EA.
mothership. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
The
not the first
mothership.
time I've heard it called that.
That's where all the ops, works. But we brought in 32 guys, like I said, ranging from YouTubers to hardcore competitive Battlefield
To
players
nobodies.
to just dudes that are, passionate. Nobodies. Come on, man. And we took their feedback. We just said we didn't even have any like content capture. It was way too early to show off anything to the world. We just wanted to bring them in, play the game. You know what's best. There's different guys. There's different cohorts that these guys meet, whether they're vehicle guys like Pony Lion, just hardcore shooter guys like Florian, which is Drunk KZ3 on Team Fnatic, or just like long-standing badass dudes that like to have fun in Battlefield, like Lano, which actually he speaks more to like the crazy intricacies of weapons and some of the physics in the game. We wanted to bring those guys in and see what they think of Hardline in its early phases where we can make some changes.
Yeah.
And so it's been this iterative process along the way. We've had 4 different events. This 4th one we just hosted here at EA Redwood for the past 2 days, and I'm proud to say that's our last event before launch. And I'll let Lano speak. I'll give the mic over to him. He could kind of talk about how he's seen the changes from day one back in May and the different events that we've held through the year to now. It's been incredible.
One thing for me that I got to see make the biggest change was just in the gadgets themselves, the balancing of each class. Like before, I really didn't have much interest in the mechanic. Just didn't seem like a viable class, and now it's been switched up to where you have it's built for an aggressive play style. Can I talk about where those gadgets are, Dan? Maybe no. Rather not.
No,
Not yet. All right.
yeah, because some of the gadgets may not be in beta.
Right. Okay. Well, there's been a really good balance between those classes to make them viable, and seeing that change from the very beginning to like seeing everybody go to one particular class more than any other to barely seeing you never really saw a cluster of one particular class. It was always somebody playing multiple roles within those classes. So that's good to see. One mechanic I know that everyone knows about is the grappling hook. When it first came out and people got to use that in the beta that was first out, felt kind of clunky. You had to look for the cues to give you a sense of idea of where you were allowed to use it, and it was pretty restricted. And now it's much more useful. Versatile, and it won't be forgotten in a week. So that's one thing that I kept trying to reiterate to Thad. And speaking on that, Thad and the developers, they're all been very open to hearing everybody's feedback, whether I had 1 million subscribers or 0. Treated everybody equally, took everybody's feedback, and if somebody threw something out that was just way out there, then they always had a good counter and had a good reason for what was happening and why it was. And it's come a long way, and I'm really happy to say I'm looking forward to it. After the first beta, it's like, I don't know. Kind of had the same skepticisms that everybody, there's a lot of skepticism. Not everybody was sure how it would be, but I think now when everybody gets a good chance for all 5 platforms to get to play it, I think it'll do really good.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, and just talking with you privately a little bit, Lono, and you saying how much it's changed, and it plays different than the first beta, and then from when we first went out there that last May, I remember a little thing, and hopefully this isn't speaking too much out of school, but he said there's one thing where you couldn't shoot through a fence or something like that, and it was just a little minor thing, and you just brought it up, and they're like, oh, you didn't even notice that, and then it's just just a minor thing like that can help EA and Visceral.
Well, like shooting in between rails, vaulting over certain objects, and in the beta, a lot of people noticed it, but there was like some where you try to go upstairs and you kind of get mushed to a side. You wouldn't even know that was ever there. And a lot of things that bother us within Battlefield 4, like the stuff on the ground that gets in our way where you constantly have to hop over it, you don't have that issue. It's just a clean transition. They've made it to where the character model steps up higher. It still looks natural, but it's higher than just that inch or two, so you don't have your foot getting stuck on like a little curb. It just runs naturally and much more smooth.
Yeah.
So that's really big change.
One of the biggest feedback, more notable feedback that I got this past event was class balance. So when we first started these events, the balance was not at all, not so much finally refined as it is now. So let's take, for example, the operator class and the engineer. The operator is basically the assault, compared would be Battlefield 4's assault. And that's more of your mid-long range with assault rifles. And now you really start to see, if you want to do more close quarter combat, you're going to want to go with the enforcer, which is like the engineer class, the PDW. So you really start to, or is it the mechanic?
Mechanic. Sorry. Excuse me.
Dude, I've been going through classes and terms all day. But you really start to see, that running a certain class has its advantages and disadvantages even more so, especially coming out of all the feedback and improvements and suggestions that we put forward from listening to you guys.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. It's something I've always dreamed for DRMB to be able to contribute, and it just so happened before I could even pitch this, you guys reached out to us and brought us on, to have people who are passionate about the game and who play it every day and have thousands of hours on it to be able to, come in and just be like, hey, like most of the community plays it this way, and this is what we're looking for, and it's awesome that Visceral and EA has been so open to that.
Yeah, I mean, we understand that, there's a huge ecosystem that is Battlefield, and it takes all sorts of different players, right? We don't want to just cater to the hardcore, the competitive guys, although that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And having a competitive mode that works in a competitive way, with latency and minimize packet loss. We have to cater to those guys, but we also have to cater to the guys who just like to come in and just have fun. So it takes a fine balance of a legit, serious, competitive contender and just fucking good game, fun game.
Yeah.
Absolutely fun.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what everybody's. Well, that's kind of where I was leading. To skip ahead a little bit. How? Maybe this is a question for Thad, but were you guys looking at kind of a successor to, not necessarily Battlefield 4, but maybe BC2 or something like that? Or, what was kind of the game that you were, this is part of Battlefield, we're going to use this, but this isn't the direction we're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to the creative decisions or, the vision so much. That'd be more of Ian and Thad question. But I know that Visceral wanted to make their own stamp on the Battlefield franchise, and that really shines through. Once you start playing beta, you're going to be like, okay, I see that this is still Battlefield, but in a completely different light. And especially when you get your hands on with like the story, the whole single player campaign is bar none one of the most incredible campaigns in the franchise. You have incredible actors that we're working with for the VO. So the VO production quality is incredible. And just the cutscenes and the direction and, this really engrossing storyline that actually pulls from, like this Hollywood style themed crime dramas, because we actually brought in a writer who wrote on that stuff. So this stuff's legit. And not just speaking to single player, but again, going back to multiplayer, it's got its own unique flair to it. And I find it a lot of fun, and I find it there's a bit more of an arcade feel because it's fast, it's quick, especially with rescue and crosshair mode. I mean, you could talk to that, Lano. That goes quick.
Yeah, they can go quick, but at the same time, it has been changed since from what we'll obviously see in the beta now, because before they were almost too quick. It was like best out of 5. Now it's best out of 5. Now it's best out of 9. So you have a really good exchange back and forth with the rounds going, where the attackers get a good opportunity to attack, but the defenders get a good opportunity to defend. And now with the gadgets, really change it up. You don't have the issue of like 3 guys sitting on top of a ladder. You just, because they're going to get a grappling hook, or someone's going to zip line from another roof, or gives you more options to attack and do different things, and to defend, which is really good. Like Molotovs, smoke is more useful. The Molotovs or the incinerator rounds, those are definitely more useful, and you can actually like throw a Molotov on a staircase, and it is strong enough to hold them back, as it should be, instead of just everyone just run through and you're okay. Makes some interesting play, and it's a lot of fun, man. I didn't die by like random bullshit. It just wasn't random bullshit. I didn't have somebody sitting back in the deployment firing some odd gadget that killed you and you didn't feel like you had any chance to defend. It was gunfight, 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 an occasional grenade, gunfight, gunfight, get run over, gunfight. Yeah. It was a lot more skill based. The vaulting worked really good. It's been fun, man. I'm excited. I really am. That's a big difference from where I was at with the first beta.
Yeah, and it's not to say that this isn't a Battlefield. It very much still is. Like, you still have those elements, right? Because Visceral has been working in tandem with DICE to make sure that this still feels like a Battlefield.
Absolutely. It does feel a Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
The theme, though, with it, they really did a good job with the theme, but adding a whole new element to Battlefield. And I know there's a lot of people, it's like, oh, cops and robbers, it's not going to work. But it's only Battlefield where I like more than just 2 modes, and that says a lot. I've always been Conquest, and to play Hotwire, Conquest, the Crosshair, Crosshair and whatnot, and have fun in all those. That impressed me a lot. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just me. To hear everyone else talking about their experiences and enjoying it, that's good. I think servers will stay good and have a good variety of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's. I mean, a lot of people thought BC2 was a far stretch, and I don't think Cops and Robbers is as far as people make it out to be. It's something new.
2142.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2142. Battlefield Vietnam, like
it's futuristic. It doesn't belong, and a lot of people still revere that as a great, solid game.
Mm-hmm.
I think if people just go into the beta open-minded, and they've gave everyone, it's all 5 platforms, they're giving everybody ample opportunity to try it. You're getting 3 modes, 3 maps, so you should be able to play that within those 5 days, find out whether it's for you or not. And I think if a lot of people just go into it open-minded, there'll be a lot more people happy with it and the direction it's going, and for what it's going to be gameplay-wise, than what they give it credit for just by hearing cops versus robbers.
Yeah. And hell,
go ahead. Sorry.
It's free. It's free open beta. It's a new.
Yeah.
Just download and play it. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
I'll be on it. I just need some. I need you to send me a check, and I can take a few extra days off. And no.
Done.
Yeah. Don't say that. Don't
Same
really
here.
believe you.
I'm coming out with a pack of beer, some pizzas, and we're just gonna throw down in your place in Tennessee. How about that?
Sure, let's do it. I'm
Come
game.
on down, Chris.
Spare beds right here in the PC room. Anyway, let's go.
There we go.
Yeah, I was just looking at flights, so no problem. Earlier, Lano, you and I were speaking kind of just briefly about how you're feeling, like how gunplay was working. Do you want to kind of talk about that again, like the recoil? You're talking about battle pickups, maybe for people who are interested in
it,
the gunplay.
yeah. Well, a lot of people were concerned with like no RPGs, but then you have the same deal opposite half. It's like RPG shouldn't be in there, and I think it turned out to be a good balance to where what they call is the junk in the trunk. Um, so you'd be able to go up to a car that spawns in your base, and you can pull out an RPG and use that, but it's not like an indefinite thing, so you can just sit there and refill them all day long. And so if you are getting getting attacked by a helo you can't get off of, you do have a chance to, or even in the hot wire mode, to be able to pull over and take care of it. But the battle pickups I thought were good, and they're not just one or two a map. There's several of them. They're good locations for the zip line, for the grappling hook. Um, well, I saw it in the trailer today, so I guess we can talk about that. But even LMGs, there are battle pickup LMGs that are there, and I had saw Thad say that the day, and I guess it was just misspoke, was that there wasn't any LMGs. Then they're not to a kit, because it would look kind of funny to see a cop going like freeze and he's got a 249, But it works out when you pick it up like from the ammo crates, and being able to grab ammo and health off of a soldier, and I have to sit there and spam him like, "Hey, give me some ammo, and he ignores you. It's really nice to be able to say, you know what, I'll just take some, and he doesn't get the points for it because he's not playing his part, but it doesn't penalize you for having a teammate who's not playing his part.
Yeah.
Which that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. I mean, there always has to be a balance between realism and gameplay, but it's kind of a good mix. You're not going to find a cop chasing who's got an RPG on his back or something, and it's good to have that mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good, yeah. So, we've had a lot of questions, and I know we spoke about this again briefly a bit earlier, Lono. Will there be any changes to the way like Battlelog works with Hardline, like with official servers or anything like that?
I mean,
can we talk about that?
Drastic. No. You want you to talk about it?
No. Can you talk about, like, we talk about the official servers, and will it be rentable servers, and how's that work?
Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready to talk about that. But I mean, Battlelog is going to be working similar to Battlefield 4. Especially for PC. So you're going to have your leaderboards, you're going to have your assignments and whatnot, and you're going to be able to check it out next Tuesday. So you're going to see exactly the way it's going to work. Uh-huh. But as far as rentable servers, I know it's in discussion. It's not necessarily out of the wheelhouse. I just don't think we have anything locked down at the moment or anything really to talk about. So.
Okay. Yeah, I figured we'd bring it up anyway. We're trying to push you for as much as possible.
But I mean, we want to support this game with the gusto and finesse that we have with 4. So I mean.
Good.
I think you can read between the lines.
Yeah.
Right.
How did changing the release date affect the game? I know that was initially a really big deal, and then the community just kind of fell in love with it and found out that everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, that was from a community standpoint. That was a big concern of mine. Was okay. When we announced this push, how's the community going to take it? What's the sentiment going to be like? Is it going to be wildly negative, and is it going to kill, the hype behind this? No, and in fact, it was complete opposite. You guys actually completely embraced it, and for once, because I've been through quite a bit of game launches, and for once, people were stoked that the game is being pushed out, and unfortunately, Battlefield has had a checkered past, and no one wants to see their beloved franchise go through no, another launch like unfortunately Battlefield 4 did. And fortunately, Battlefield 4 is at an awesome state now. It's a killer game to play. We wanted to come out of the gates as best as we can, and in order to do that, we had to play the game. And that opened up even more opportunities for Lano and the rest of a couple of game changer guys to come out and continue providing their feedback to make the game even better than how it has been tracking through most of 2014. Yeah. So I'm excited for the launch here. Like everyone knows, March 17th here in the States and 18th and 20th rest of the world. And I feel like coming out is going to be incredible. It's going to be kick-ass.
Yeah, well, we really, like you said, embraced that. Not so much that, I mean, people were worried that it was going to be a Battlefield 4 launch and stuff like that, but there was such big, Battlefield versus Call of Duty and versus other games and the Christmas rush and stuff, and to have it in March, I feel is such a benefit to not only consumers, but, EA, Visceral, everything else, where, yeah, you've got GTA 5 and stuff on PC, but, it's when BC2 launched in March, there was nothing else to play. And I picked it up just randomly one day, and that is why I'm talking to you here. Fell in love with it, anything else. And maybe if it was a Christmas rush and go between something I've played before and a new thing, maybe I wouldn't have. So who knows?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. It's a win-win for both parties, right? Win-win. So it's a win for us as publishers and developers. We don't necessarily have to compete with the other market contenders, right? Like you said, during the holiday rush with any other major releases. And then it's a win for you guys because, let's face it, time is valuable. And you want to spend, your extra time on the games you want to spend them on. Yeah. And so you've been able to crank out and, have fun with the games that you've been looking forward to through the holiday season and through the first quarter of this year. And, now Hardline's coming up. And I can just start diving into that. So it works for me, too, because, my time's valuable. I barely have time to actually play games, which is quite a conundrum, right, being in the game industry. But around that time, I'm going to have plenty of free time to start playing.
Good. So when the beta launches, how do you guys want to collect feedback on that? Battlelog?
Yeah. So we'll have Hardline forums in the Battlelog. So I go straight there. And then when the beta is over and you guys still have some feedback, now that the dust is settled and maybe you sort of forgot about something and something's coming back and you're like, oh, I remember that. Especially like a lot of people, they're going to be recording all this content. Maybe they come across something that after the beta, once the forums are down, they can't access. So we'll still have the existing forums up on the Battlefield 4 forum as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so certainly utilize the Battlelog Hardline forums during beta, then afterwards hit up 4.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's always been kind of a little bone of contention for me when we see half of the community posting it over here and the other half over here, and then a bunch of people tweeting you on your personal Twitter like it's your job to work 24/7 and collect feedback. So
I don't sleep.
I like waiting.
Juice right here.
I like waiting until it's really late and then throw you some feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, right before you fall asleep, remember the grappling hook? No.
You guys messed that up.
Fucking that tweet from Lano B.
Man, I see Thad answering tweets at like 4 a.m. his time. And then 5:30, I'm like, oh, you went to bed yet? Nope, he's right back up at 5. I'm like, okay. He's at it. I don't know if he sleeps. He's probably got like an IV of coffee too. Red Bull,
Yeah,
it's plugged in. Getting a few more questions from the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything in particular you see Chris standing out? Well, going back a little bit to you being a community manager and everything. I'm sure you've learned a lot being a part of the community and everything, but where do you see it leading you in, say, 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
you still community manager?
yeah, I love this franchise. You know, like I said, I grew up playing it, and I feel it's an honor to be working for you guys. Um, in fact, I think where I'd want to go from here would be to get more, even more international, even more global, and start really setting up the pieces for a true community throughout. You know, yeah, we have a great foundation, and I feel like we provide great visibility for consumers and I shouldn't say consumers. That sounds so marketing for our players and
You've
you
been
know
PowerPoint
our
all day.
internal team. Yeah, yeah. Let me get a PowerPoint for you guys. Let me
Yeah.
draft it up. See this graph here? Um, no, I just see it becoming even more personal, you know, and even more of a one-on-one dialogue, especially with channels growing more and more like Twitch and how people are digesting information in new ways. It's more word of mouth these days, and that's where community becomes even a more important element in the way games are digested and the news around games is digested.
Hmm.
So being cognizant of that, I see myself in 5 years, leading more of that war cry and spearheading more of that one-on-one dialogue with players and our internal teams.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I like that. I mean, with the more public publicly available community managers and developers are, I mean, there's two ways to take it. You can go, well, I hate to kind of call people
Consistency
out,
helps.
like,
Consistency helps.
yeah, but I mean, games like Company Heroes, who directs you to forums and does not answering questions, is unfortunately not the way, or fortunately not the way of the future. People are passionate about games, and sometimes that passion goes wrong, but other times they just want to discuss the game and try and make it better. So to have people like yourself, answering those questions, it's pretty nice.
If I could duplicate myself, so I guess that should be number one. Trying to find how to duplicate myself over the next 5 years to have like a legion of me
Yeah,
answering every tweet that comes in.
yeah,
Well, I've even seen you running the regular Battlefield thing too. I'm sure that's just on a whole other level with like 1.5 million potential people tweeting at you. Just fix this, do that. You know, do you even have notifications on your phone, or do you just kind of have to go back?
No,
Oh.
no, I turn those battle notifications off. I get enough email to deal with.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Fortunately, though, I'm not the only one like answering tweets on the battlefield. So, we have a really good community team here and a good communications team as well. And so we all take our hand and turn at our Facebook posts and Twitter. But lately, I've been focusing more on Twitter itself. So you've seen engagement on that and posts jump like hundredfold. It's just we're pumping out tons of news. There's tons of stuff to talk about.
yeah.
But I have a killer team, and I work with some awesome guys out in Austin and out in Europe that actually reply to a lot of the tweets real time. And if it wasn't for them, I mean, we wouldn't have that awesome relationship that we have with our players. So my hat goes off to that team as well.
Hmm.
I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but someone is in the chat curious. Who was it? Whose final decision was it to say to delay Hardline? Who did that come down to? If you're able to answer that.
Well, I mean, that's going to be, executive management. They're ultimately the ones that need to make that call. They need to leverage, fiscal earnings and the impact it means on the business as a whole, and the funding resources that it takes to extend development, and the impacts on delaying that from a player standpoint and market share. So there's so much,
Yeah.
really, there's so much that goes on. It's not an easy task to make that decision. So it took months and months to plan out and to make sure that was the right one to make. And obviously, it netted out to be the perfect decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would have must have been a tough decision for sure, and I'm glad we have people willing to make it.
Yeah.
You know,
I just hope that they see how much progress that Visceral guys there have done with that 6 months. Because I mean, like you said, I've been fortunate enough to be there from the beginning. So to see that the changes from then to now, I think is monumental. Really, like it prevented the game from taking more backlash to making it something that's very likely to be more successful than they may have originally thought anyway, just because of the theme change. But
yeah,
there has been a lot of changes, a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
Like people in the chat talking about, do you get stuck on every curb? And no, I know for a fact that does not happen. Not that I had any experiences. You're not having to bunny hop and do things to get over small ledging. Your guy goes right over it, so that's nice. One guy who's been really patient though, and he did ask. He said, as someone who hopes to become a future CM, he just started university. He's starting university next year for public relations. And he was wondering what you studied and if even thought you'd ever be a CM. Did you intend to go off as a CM? You said you started as Q&A, but was that like your foot in the door, or was CM like that's what I'm gonna be, or did it just kind of go that way?
So the first part of that question, what do you need to study to be CM? I'd say in this day and age, it takes, communications and public relation for sure. You need to be able to work and be personable and know how to talk to people, and convey that message. But also journalism. You need to have some good writing skills. I'm always writing, whether it's a tweet, whether it's an article, whether it's a FAQ or a support document. You need to be able to write. That's important. And also just be versatile in a lot of your multimedia. So, I come from an era where community managers are king of improv. Like we're going to use the tools that we have. And a lot of the times we were the ones pulling together creative assets and videos and on the spot sort of, marketing assets or just cool gameplay videos. Of course, we're getting more polished these days and we have more teams that specialize in that. But it's good to be well-rounded in that term.
Mm-hmm.
The second part of that question, which was more of where I came from, or what did I seek out to be a
was
community manager?
was that your original intention, or were you just like getting your foot in the door with the Q&A testing, or did you like go to college and say that's the job I want to do?
Originally back in high school, I wanted to be a journalist, a video game journalist. I mean, I couldn't get enough reading about video games. And you remember PlayStation Magazine back in the day?
Yeah.
There's some killer articles out there and killer magazines, and I couldn't get enough. And I wanted to be the guy reviewing and writing games. But then I started getting to college and actually went to college for audio engineering. I was going to get into the music industry, and I came out here to LA. And little do you know, they don't tell you that you're going to be running around and like getting beer and
coffee.
Coffee, yes.
Go get some bagels, Dan.
Yeah.
Until you can even touch a fader, right? And so I kind of had to, set my sights different. I had to change my goal, change my end all, and I had a buddy that was doing some QA testing. I was like, maybe I should go back to my first passion. That's where it started. That's ultimately where I needed to go. I didn't see myself getting a community. I'll tell you that. I'm fortunate. I didn't necessarily go to college strictly for community. There's no community programs out there, which I don't see why there can't be. And this is becoming a much more, critical job in the industry.
Yeah.
But to summarize, and at TLDR, I didn't set it out, and I kind of just took advantage of the opportunities that were given to me.
Yeah.
Just fell right into it.
That's awesome. That seems to be the way CMs are coming up, from the ground floor, and I think that's really critical to understanding the game and understanding the process. We have a really good friend of DRMB who's a community manager who came up from being passionate in the community, and ran events for this community and was on a competitive team and everything else, and that grew relationships, and then that grew an actual job position as a CM. So I think that's very important to be on the ground floor when you start.
Yeah, there's an extension on that as well. Like, you need to be able to understand all the different sectors in the industry. From the production side and the development side, all the way down to customer service and marketing and public relationships, or PR, because you're working with all these teams simultaneously, and you need to know how to navigate those waters and work with all these teams at the same time.
Yeah. And I imagine all the different personalities that go into making a game.
Oh yeah. We're all very passionate,
Yeah.
There can be some heated exchanges, but it's all in good intention.
Good.
Well, if you don't mind, Dan, trying to keep up with all these questions. Is there any kind of more filtering system for maybe, say, offensive emblems or chat abilities, like to handle that, like without disabling the entire chat, but just maybe somebody in particular, or is there anything you can talk about?
Are you talking about more of RSPs?
Or just like in-game emblems and in the in-game chat, whatnot. Is there any?
It'll be
possibility for that.
Yeah, it'll be similar to BF4, right?
Right.
So you can expect the same sort of filtering.
Favorite metal band?
That's a tough question, and I think any respectable metalhead's going to tell you it all depends on the kind of metal you're into, right? Yeah. At the moment, So black metal, I like Demon Borgir. When it comes down to more like brutal metal or more like American metal, it'd be Black Dahlia Murder, and like your melodic Scandinavian Children of Bodom. You have good Gothenburg metal, like at the gates.
It all sounds like it's too hard for shit I listen to.
we have a guy
about Scandinavian punk rock.
We have a guy on DRMB who asked that question, Phil, and he's pumped in the chat right now because I know he listens to a couple of those bands and he's a big metalhead. So he's like, I always see Dan tweeting metal bands. He's like, ask him what his favorite metal band is.
Score one for Phil.
Yeah.
Do you play Arma and do you hate ISIS? If so, we got a spot for you. Coming from Squan 2.
Arma's super hardcore, okay?
Yeah.
I wish I had the time to play Arma, but I'm busy making Battlefield games.
I just would have caught hell for 6 months if I didn't spit that out there to you.
Hey, come on. I don't even need to answer that last question. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
What's your favorite game kind of outside the Battlefield series when you get a chance to play?
Yeah, when I'm not...
Besides Peggle
and Candy Crush? Oh,
yeah.
You took it... I took it. But when I'm not capping fools, I'm a racing guy. I love sim racing games. Like, I'm a huge gearhead outside of like survivalism and all that. So Forza and Gran Turismo, and I just geek out on that stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
How many hours of tattoo work you got?
Oh my God.
From Irish Gunner.
Yeah. Man. First of all, first tattoo when I was like 17, my mom signed for me. So that's when I started. So I'm a good...
Your mom signed for you to get the tattoo?
Yeah.
Right on, Mom. So what, she's a metalhead too, or what?
At heart, maybe not
now.
Outwardly.
Yeah.
Right on.
No, so I got 13 years on this. I'd say I'm about 50 hours to 60 hours in.
I mean, that's when you got your Candy Crush in.
Yeah, I got Jelly Bean right
Right,
across my heart.
right on.
That's funny. Big thing, we get tweets on this like almost hourly. There's discussions on Reddit. I believe there's betting pools. You and Lono taking on all the other YouTubers and people from the community that head down there. Who wins and why?
Me and him versus all of them?
Yeah.
Versus the world?
No
Versus all the other community guys that come in. Chawboy, Level Cap.
Bono, you and I would F some dudes up. You
I
know.
mean, I'll let you speak on that one. That's your question.
Dude, okay, first of all,
Any teams are a bit uneven, though.
Any game that Drunk KZ isn't in, I think I stand a chance. Seeing that guy play, like, firsthand, it's ridiculous. The guy's got a magnet hand. Florian on Team Fnatic.
Yeah, the robot guy?
You could call him robot, yeah.
Yeah, because that wasn't human. Like, he's playing on, like, 400 sensitivity and...
Yeah, just... I couldn't...
Human aimbot?
Yeah.
No problem, Gunner.
So, I mean, yeah. Even... We would go down having fun. We'd try.
It's
I
like
think we did very fun.
It's like that classic you versus a whole bunch of you versus 50 kindergartners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's funny. I'd pay to see that. Yeah. You should
whiskey would be involved, and well, we all know that we get a little surly. Introduced.
Yeah.
Well, one question I've been asked a few times to ask you or whoever could enlighten them on it, because it was just now today in that trailer released, you saw parts of hacker mode, and that's not been something we've been allowed to talk about prior to this trailer today. Is anything you want to talk about with it, or can you, or is it just what we've seen today in the trailer and then just wait till beta? Will hacker mode be in the beta? Will that be part of the beta?
It will be part of the beta. Yeah, it'll be in there.
So
you'll be able to check it out on Tuesday. But I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about it before you get to see it. It's basically like a surveillance mode that you can actually use to help your team out. So you can like control cameras and you can see where the enemy is, and that'll come up on your mini map. I'll allow you to say one thing with your experience that you had with hacker mode, Lano.
I'm trying to be careful. You don't have to worry about any cruise missiles.
Done.
Yeah.
Check it out Tuesday.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about any cruise missiles. Or...
Can we put that on the box?
Hardline. Yeah, no cruise missiles.
Hardline, no cruise missiles.
Yeah. Well, Thad put out against the robots today, the no MAVs, UAVs, UCAVs, mortars. And for me, that's one thing that did really bother me with like Battlefield 4. It just felt like you died a lot by things that you couldn't really control.
Yeah.
A UCAV, SUAV, a mortar, and a lot of those things fit within the military theme. But personally, I'm really glad to see it dialed back, and the gadgets are more tactical rather than lethal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one big plus for me. Any more questions can you talk about any kind of plans for DLC? I don't think you can, but I'm just trying to satisfy the thirst of the chat here.
I wish I could, but there are
DLC or...
Like I said, I wish I could, but there's financial ramifications with talking about anything, and so unfortunately, that's all red tape.
Yeah, it's I actually heard they're not even doing DLC. It's just old school shareware. Download
it once. Yeah, that's already on Reddit now, Chris. Way to go. Way to go.
Confirmed. We had a really great question on Twitter the other day. Dan, if you could add one thing, a plane, bunny, plague of man-eating locusts, anything to any Battlefield game, what would you add and why?
A nuke. Because I get so fucking frustrated with everything. I would just nuke button, done.
Well, you can do that already. It's called Alt F4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tra-la-la-la-la.
Doesn't take care of you, though.
No. Well, it does. It just doesn't do anything to everybody else, but it nukes you from the game. Yeah. I see that in chat. How do I do such? Just Alt F4. Okay, and they're gone. It's like, damn, got you. Outside of being a CM, what's your hobbies? What do you do outside of work
Yeah,
when you're not wearing the
man.
suit and tie?
Oh yeah, I'm always suit and tied. Yeah. No, man camping. I love spending time on my motorcycle. Uh, Shooting, man. I've got a couple firearms and still growing my arsenal. And playing guitar. Yeah, so and a whiskey connoisseur of sorts.
Do you normally play more guitar after the whiskey, or is it the other way?
I feel like I sound better after several
Don't we
drinks.
all? Don't we all?
Yeah.
I probably should have had some whiskey before all this. Damn. Okay, got me.
Are you in a band or anything? Or you just play?
No, I mean, I chased that for a while, and it's just so tough. Like, getting all the guys charged up and
Yeah.
on the same page as you. It's really like herding cats. If everybody doesn't have the same gusto as you, it's not going to work. So I kind of just gave that up. I got to play some really cool stuff, and I got to play some really awesome festivals and played with bands that I grew up listening to. So I had my time. It was fun.
Good. Yeah, that it's, I don't know. It's tough. I tried to do it as well, and the time commitment alone is unreal. And then never mind getting everybody passionate at the exact same time and on the exact same page. So
This frustration. What do you play?
I used to play guitar years ago, a decade ago. So not anymore. Now I'm a dad, 2 kids. So.
Yeah, priorities, man.
Yeah.
I was once a pro on a banjo. Kidding.
You're still Tennessee.
Yeah. Spontane's gonna have fun with that.
Yeah, no. I thought I'd throw him some ammo. I'm typically support. I throw ammo.
Yeah.
You
Right on. Well, we're collecting a couple more hardline questions. Counter knife. Was that a tough discussion? Could kind of talk about removing that, or is this something that you've seen the community wanted?
From what I understand, that was not a tough decision that Thad didn't want. Yeah, it's a very polarizing feature in Battlefield 4. Some people love it, some people hate it. But the fact of the matter is, if you're in a position to counter knife, it's a great humiliation, and we want that to live. So I think it was a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if people really ultimately want it, provide that feedback. Support and development's not going to end, on March 17th. So.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Something I'm glad was gone. I was initially excited for it in Battlefield, but it's a little annoying because everyone just mashed F and then that's it. But,
yeah.
Good, right on. Well, we'll kind of let you be. We've been talking for an hour. I don't know, Lona, do we got any final questions for him that we haven't covered?
Is there anything that you can talk about what separates any differences between core mode and hardcore? For those that are interested.
Yeah, that'll come at another time. There's not much I can talk.
Roger that. I'm trying to feed the thirst of the chat, man.
Bear
with me.
I don't know if this is something that anybody says. When do you guys go gold? Like when's kind of the cutoff? Is there in this day and age?
What do you mean go gold?
Like actually press the discs?
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, all depends on how tight we're running on production.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically you have to be certified with first party. So that was the reason why we couldn't necessarily even communicate a beta date until now.
Right.
We needed to wait till we were certified with beta code.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get all the first parties on board with that. We have to do the same for launch and that final code. So I mean, I've been on some games where final discs weren't being pressed until the week before launch.
Right.
Yeah, and then a couple days we're like literally sending out discs straight from the warehouse to distributors,
Yeah.
and you get that nice little plasticky smell. But we'll be locked by then, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah. Well, that's something I'd like the community to understand a little bit more. There's a lot of pressure in this day and age. Well, just push out a patch. You see something broken, just push out a patch, and it's that certification and going through Microsoft and Sony and everything else. Why that's not possible. There is a process, and a lot of people don't understand that behind the scenes. I'm not saying I do, but I've heard a lot about the process and how and why it happens. It's not just okay, you found a bug, okay, it's fixed tomorrow, and it's live. So
yeah, and each party, Sony and Microsoft have a totally different set of standards, right? They have completely different platforms that are built on completely different, code bases. And I mean, I can't really talk to the intricacies of this. I mean, I would love to know more, but it's monumental, the things and the qualifications that we have to meet for each party. And games these days are so much more intricate than they ever have been. There's so many systems going on, whether it's local play all the way to online. There's just so many back-end processes that need to be met and qualified. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, hey, just look at the size. Like, you're getting 60, 70 gig downloads for games. That's a lot you can do now, and it's a process. So when people spout on, fix it now, there's a reason you can't. So I'm hoping people understand that. So right on, Dan. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a long time coming, and we're pumped to provide the podcast for Hardline. We're very excited about it as a community. So I want to thank you again for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, man. And hopefully this isn't the first. I hope there's plenty more. And looking forward to playing with you guys next Tuesday.
So. Books next 3 weeks. Committed.
Well, actually, speaking of that, we've got more podcasts lined up. We're getting back to a regular schedule. And next week we've got your buddy Thad on.
Sweet.
Dirty Death Dog, the lead multiplayer designer for Hardline. He's going to be on next Thursday. So
he's the guy to talk to, man. Drill him with all the technical questions you've got.
Well, by then, beta will be out, so we'll be able to hit him with all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we try to spare you a bit. But before you go, I have one final question for Scanner here. Street or vert went on the BMX?
Street or vert for BMX?
Yeah.
Street all the way, dude.
I mean, I don't see you riding your Harley like,
That's where the creativity is, man. I'm not a big BMXer, but when I watch BMX, I'm all about street or like backwoods stuff.
Right on.
Awesome.
Appreciate your time, Dan.
Yeah, right on.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Grateful. Yes. Everybody take a drink. Later.
Cheers to that.
Later, brother. Have a good one.
Later.